Hey everybody, welcome back. We appreciate you guys joining us for episode 1 here.
Super excited. This is
yeah,
going to be a blast.
yeah, I'm stoked. As you can see, we got a little different kind of scenery here. I told you guys it was gonna be a little bit of an upgrade and kind of process as we go through the episodes.
We'll just keep changing and evolving and trying to make it better.
Yeah. So if it fits, it ships. I think it's a huge controversial topic in the industry that we have here.
Oh yeah. Look at any of the Facebook pages and all these guys posting up pictures, and I don't see anything wrong with it.
And then other people are like, well, this, and this, your points of securement aren't good. How, what's your GVWR even rated at?
Yeah.
Can that truck haul that? Oh, well, it can haul it. Is it rated to haul it?
And that's more what this is going to be about. It's going to be about knowing your equipment, knowing what's safe to put on your truck. Public safety should be your number one concern. Making sure your equipment doesn't wear out. Knowing what your trucks are rated for and what you can put on there safely, it's very, very important.
And there's a lot of things that come in, like again with the public safety aspect of it. I mean, there's been recent years. I mean, just up last year, I think it was, where an unsecured load was
just the
dozer.
And
it killed two people, and that's an unfortunate circumstance. And that's all due to complacency. That's all due to what if it fits, it ships. Just because it goes doesn't mean it should.
Yeah.
And I explained that in our intro.
I think that was a securement thing too.
Yep.
But you see plenty of guys with a Freightliner chassis, and they've got an F550 on the back, and do the math on it. It's not right. It's too heavy for that unit.
And everybody wants to talk about how they take care of their equipment.
Yeah.
And just because you can tow it, that's not taking care of your equipment. In the long run, it's...
And the other side of it is everybody wants to complain about insurance rates. Oh, insurance is crazy. Well, if you're not doing stupid stuff like that, maybe the insurance rates won't keep going up.
Our rates are up because of what's going on with the industry and ourselves.
Right.
And the only way it's going to change is starting to change with us.
Right.
And that's a given.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I have a spreadsheet with all of our equipment on it. Everything from the light duty trucks to the heavy duty trucks, our skid steer, our excavator, all of our trailers. I have a curb weight and a max weight for everything on a spreadsheet. So when the boss calls me and says, hey, we got to tow this, what truck should we send? It's so easy. I look at the spreadsheet. I can see, okay, the vehicle weighs this much. It can go on this truck safely. Just some examples. We've got a 2017 F550 extended cab 4-wheel drive diesel. It's got a Jerr-Dan 20 SRR6T, which is a 12,000 pound, 20-foot steel bed. So a lot of guys think, oh, it's a 12,000 pound bed. I could put 12,000 pounds on it. Not even close. When you do the math on that truck, it's only an 18,000 GVW truck. So with the 15.7 curb weight, roll through a scale empty, just the driver, all the equipment, full tank of fuel, that truck weighs about 15.7 as it sits. 18,000 GVW minus 15,700 curb, that gives you 2,300 pounds on the deck before you're overweight. That's not a lot. That's a Ford Escape, a Toyota RAV4. That's really about it.
Tiny.
Yeah, it's not much. And you'll see guys running those F550s with the steel bed or even an aluminum bed. Aluminum's not going to give you that much more wiggle room. And they're putting quad cab diesel on that truck, way too heavy. You're pushing 8,500 pounds at that point.
Yep.
Way too heavy. And then they wonder why their frames break. They wonder why the cylinder mounts rip off the frame. You're putting way too much weight on that truck.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it every day.
Every single day. I wake up in the morning, I start scrolling, doing my normal, wake up routine, and first thing I see is, oh, is it too big? And it's like, if you're towing, you should know if it's too big. You should really know what your weight limit is of your truck.
Yep.
And I get, there's companies where you're swapping trucks, you're going between, different vehicles, different drivers, Again, make sure your drivers know, just like you have the spreadsheet, make sure your drivers know what your weight limit is, what your capacity is at, how big of a load you can take, and proper securement too.
Yep.
I mean, that's huge in the if it fits, it ships to me. I don't care what anybody says. It's not just weight, it's proper load securement.
Most guys are pretty good about securing their loads. Every once in a while you see somebody and it's questionable, but if you're going to push the limit, you really got to make sure you're going a little bit extra. Even in our company, when we put a 3,500 diesel on one of our flatbeds, which would be a international chassis or a Freightliner chassis, it's the only thing a 3,500 diesel will go other than a wrecker. We actually chain the rear, we safety strap the front,
Mhm.
and we do a secondary chaining from the chassis down to the bed in the middle, just to be 100% that
6
that
points
truck
of
will not
contact.
come off the flatbed.
That's something I've taken also when I learned. I actually learned that from them myself. So that's something I still use to this day on my own truck.
Yep.
And it is, I mean, it's great. It's never hurts to have extra securement.
Couple extra minutes, you're 100%. The thing you got to look at is the company's not going to get the ticket from DOT.
No.
That's you.
Yep.
That's you.
It's
and we're
personal.
gonna talk about the tickets later on at the closer to the end.
Yeah, that's personal. That's
Yeah. That's a driver responsibility. You're responsible to tell your boss it's too heavy, I can't tow it.
And if you're driving any commercial vehicle, you should know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys aren't really kind of comprehending that. Oh, I can tow it.
Yeah.
I
Or
can
maybe
do
they
it.
don't know. Maybe they think that
Improper training.
the improper training, but maybe they think that, oh, if I get pulled over, DOT stops me, the company's going to get the ticket. But
Nope.
it doesn't. It goes on the driver.
Yep.
So another example, talking about the Freightliners and the International, we've got a couple of each. We've got a Freightliner M2 2011 extended cab, 6.7 liter with a Jerdan 21 SLPB bed on it. Another 12,000 pound bed.
Good truck.
Yeah, it's a decent truck. She's getting old now, but she's doing pretty well.
Hey man, she served me justice. She brought me into this towing industry.
Yeah. 26,000 GVW on that truck. It's a 17.2 curb weight. So that gives you 8,800 pounds before you're overweight. So there you can go up to a quad cab diesel, single rear wheel, even a dual rear wheel. If it's a regular bed, we're not talking about a utility body full of tools or a stake body with all kinds of cement equipment. Yeah, just a regular pickup bed. That'll fit on that truck. And you probably won't be overweight. You'd be pushing the limit, but you probably won't be overweight.
That was about me with that wreck we worked.
Yeah.
HD, the medium that I picked up.
Yep.
Long bed, crew cab.
And they'll barely fit. They'll go right
HD,
to the end of the bed. But if you load it up correctly and you secure it down, you're probably going to be okay.
It'll fit and it'll ship.
That will fit properly. And that will ship. Yeah.
Properly.
Yeah. So I get it. Guys are out there. They're struggling. They're trying to make that dollar. But again, we'll talk about it at the end with the fines. If you have to hit a scale, which when I first started towing 11, 12 years ago, the company I worked for first said, oh, you don't have to worry about the scales. Just go past them. I didn't know any better. I didn't do my research. My company didn't care. So I did what I had to do. And I know a lot of guys are doing that. But you need to know the risk you're taking when you do that.
Yep.
And it's a big fat fine. And then the safety on the other side of it and the wear and tear on your truck. You want your truck to last as long. If you're not rolling, you're not making any money.
Exactly.
So I get it, trying to make that dollar. But yeah, it hurts. It hurts to say, hey, we can't handle that tow because we don't have the right equipment. Sometimes it's the right thing to do.
And me personally, I've been in that position. I don't have anything that can tow. We don't do heavy stuff.
Right.
We do light, we do medium. I know what our boundaries are. You know what I mean? Up to certain extents. And there's things where we have had to actually say, hey, I can't do that. Here's somebody I do recommend. Yeah. I know they have the right equipment to do it. Thank you for keeping us in mind. We appreciate that.
And it's a good relationship to have with other companies to say, hey man, if I get something that I know I can't handle, I'm going to send it your way. If you guys are swamped and you can send a little business my way, we can scratch each other's backs and help each other out. And
that's a big thing in the industry that
we're a big family.
Everybody's too competitive in the industry. Everyone wants too quick to knock the next dog down.
Yep.
And I see it every day too. Every day here locally where we are, I watch it all the time. So, I mean,
you go from doing 5 or 6, 7 tows a day down to days where you don't do anything for a day or two in a row. And, it's unfortunate. But again, if you're scratching each other's backs, when that guy's busy and he's got, an hour ETA, he'll send it your way. And we do the same for them. So.
Yep. Good business relationships. Yeah. I think that's a huge factor too.
So let's move on to wreckers.
Well, that's you, big dog.
Flatbed. So,
wreckers I can do a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there goes BTR.
Oh, there we go. He's just hauling the trailer too.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah. When we see a tow truck, you just.
Yeah, you know how it is. So wreckers, my daily driver. I absolutely love this truck. We built this truck before I started with this company, but it just came into service when I started working here. It's a 2007 F550 regular cab, 6.0. It's not going to blow because it's bulletproof. It wasn't a 4-wheel drive when we got the truck, and we converted it to 4-wheel drive a few years ago. It's got a Century 602 on it. It's got a 6,000 pound wheel lift with 6,000 pound L arms, or you can put forks on it and get 9,000 pounds retracted. It's got a 20,000 pound tow limit. The truck GVW is 19,000 pounds. The curb weight is 13,200. That means I can put 6,200 pounds on that chassis and still be safe. It actually works out perfect because I just normally run the L arms and I can lift the front end of a truck that weighs 6,200 pounds. So pretty much any up to a 550. Some of the newer 550s have a heavier front axle gross weight, so I try to steer away from them. But the older 550s, 5500s, they were only a 5,000 pound front gross axle weight, so I feel safe towing those. That's my limit with that
I think
truck.
I've seen a close one to like 18.5, and that was a big old bucket truck fully loaded.
Yeah, my truck's a 19. The 600s, the F600s, are 22,000 GVW.
Okay.
That's, man, I'm pushing for that as my next truck. But anyway, 6,200 pounds load. Now, when you're loading on a wheel lift, you're behind the axle center line, so you're putting all of that weight straight into that rear axle. So really, you got to look at the rear axle. And on the rear axle of that truck, it is a 13,660 rear gross axle weight rating. The rear curb on it is 7,450. So in there, you're looking at 5,910 pounds. So it's under the 6,000 pounds that the wheel lift can do. So that truck was a mistake. Like, boss bought the cab and chassis, boss bought the wrecker kit, put it together, and it was a perfect mistake that it's like right in there. It's built just right.
Right.
So we're careful about what we tow with it, but that truck it's a 2007, and it's going strong. We tow heavy with it, but we keep it safe.
So you want to talk about wheel lifts real quick? Let's talk about if it fits, it ships with a rollback real quick, because a lot of these guys, yeah, they know how to, throw a car on both ends, but at the same time, are you properly doing it? Are you
talking on the flatbed and on the wheel lift at the same time?
Sir.
Okay.
I remember one of the first tows I did 3 years ago with him, that dump trailer and the pickup truck. It wasn't overweight.
Okay.
But it was in the big Freightliner.
Yeah.
And it was, I was long. I was still fresh. I was new.
Probably a little nervous.
Oh yeah.
Probably a little nervous.
Oh yeah. But you know what I mean? There's different things like that. So you have a certain wheel lift rating on the wreckers.
Well, you got to know that combination too. If you look on the headache rack of the wreckers,
and that's what I'm getting at.
Your plaque there, and it tells you what you can put on the deck and what you can put on the wheel lift to still be safe.
Yep.
But even that, you got to make sure you're still within your weight.
Exactly, because you have the weight of the truck. And yep. So and that's another thing to look at. And that again brings down to your wear and tear on your equipment. Right. It brings down to how often you have to service your equipment, or what the issues might be constantly, or again being overweight, going into scales.
Yeah.
It's a whole kind of just fiasco.
Yeah. So
it's being more safe than sorry is probably your best.
Yeah.
Bet.
No, we can't be the dumb tow truck drivers anymore. There's too much liability, and you're not making money if you're not conscious of what you can and can't do. You're going to end up losing that money in the long run because your truck is going to be down. You're going to miss other tows where you could bang out a couple of them and make the same amount of money that you made on that one. So
pushing over your limit, and then you ruin your truck.
Yeah, you break your truck and you're down, and
you could have had 2 local 2-mile radius tows that paid out what that one did.
Or you do something serious and your truck's out of service for a week waiting on parts.
Hey, buddy, I just got my truck back. It was down for 3 months for a fuel issue, and it was chasing problem after problem after problem. I mean, thank the Lord now everything is good. She's been running strong, but it goes to show that lack of maintenance. Previous owners, business was purchased. I did tell the previous owners, hey, we need to do this. This needs to be done for my truck to prevent this.
Yeah.
Exactly what didn't happen. They let it go. My truck went down 3 months. And then I got in the wrecker for a while and had some fun with that. But I'm back in my rollback now. But
not every company's got even an extra truck laying around that you can just hop into.
Exactly.
A lot of guys are just running, a one-man show.
One singles truck. Yeah. And that's hard.
And those are the guys that are probably pushing it a little more than they should. They're trying to make that dollar because it is just them.
Yep.
But again, when you look at your downtime because you broke your truck, or you're fined for having to roll through a scale, or shoot, around here, especially in the past year or two, we've been having the DOT pop-up scales.
Oh yeah, all over.
Yeah.
All over.
And that, I don't remember ever seeing them in the 11, 12 years I've been doing this. I don't remember seeing pop-up scales around here until just recently.
Yeah, so I've rolled through in the last 3 years probably 3 or 4 of them here,
Yeah.
and then up down the highway.
Yep.
They're popping up in between here in Klamath.
Yeah.
So they're out. They are. They're not playing anymore. They want everybody to be safe. There's too many, like you said, there's too many liabilities that have gone around. There's too many issues that the industry is having that are not getting corrected, and lack of, I mean, I don't want to say knowledge, but it's people are getting complacent. Let's put it that way. They're getting real comfortable. Yeah. They're getting complacent, and everybody constantly seems to think that they're better than the next. You're not. I'm not any better than you. I'm not any better than you.
I learn something every day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day. And I'm probably not the only one who does it, but I go home, I watch YouTube videos all the time, towing. All the time.
Scroll
different rollover
Facebook.
recovery. Yeah, all the time. It's all towing because that's what I like to do. That's why we made this podcast to originate with.
Yeah.
So it comes down to really accountability on yourself.
Yeah.
For all of it.
Yeah. But we're talking about scales and stuff like that. We might as well hit on that. So for Oregon DOT, the Oregon DOT fine schedule 2 for tow vehicles. That's what you're going to look at for this pop-up here. If we were to roll through a scale in that 2017 F550 with the 12,000 pound steel bed, we got a 2,300 pound capacity on that truck. Let's say we had an F350 on there. Looking at the Ford sheet here, looking about 8,500 pounds for a bigger F350. So you'd be 6,200 pounds overweight. Your fine would be $1,280. And that's if I did my math correctly. I believe there's an additional initial fine on top of that. But just for the overweight side of it, now that they've got you and you're overweight, they're going to pick your truck apart. They're going to find every little thing they can wrong with that truck, and they're going to fine you for everything they can. So you're just starting at $1,280. Is that tow that you were just doing worth it? $200 tow, $300 tow? It's not worth it to me. I want to make sure that I'm not getting fined. So I'm going to be very, very careful. That F350, I would rather tow it with a wrecker. Even if I have to tow it from the front and pull the drive line, I'd rather tow it that way, charge the extra money for the extra work, and make the extra money than having to get popped at a scale and costing myself, because that fine is not on the company. That fine's on me.
It's easier to cut corners for everybody.
It's easier, but
is it worth it?
We're here to make money.
Is it worth it?
It's not. It's not worth it. Not to me. Maybe to somebody else. Not to me.
Me neither.
I
was trying to find the ordinance on the pop-up scales to try and give them a little bit more information on our area of things, but I didn't see anything yet. So maybe next follow-up episode that we do, I'll have a little bit more information to pop up on those pop-up scales, because I want to know. I know state troopers in other areas carry the scales and stuff in their commercial motor vehicle stuff. So ours is kind of the same thing. It's not done through police. It's done through specifically the Department of Transportation.
Right.
No,
but back in Connecticut, I remember Connecticut, it was a state police motor vehicle enforcement.
Yep.
Now this was shit. I lived there.
This is how it is in majority
ago,
of the places though now.
Yeah.
I mean, but here for whatever reason,
here
Oregon is it's literally the state transportation department.
Yep.
It's not anything to do with the police. So yeah, hopefully on the follow-up, I'll have a little bit more information on some pop-up scales and how they do it. Maybe I'll get a couple pictures of one if I can snag by one and just doop.
Yeah.
That way you guys can see.
Yeah, it's I've heard, I think you've told me, Josh has told me, Steve's told me, that, having to go through the scales, and luckily everybody's been careful.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't heard
if you do it right, you don't get an issue.
Well, that's it. I haven't heard of anybody getting a ticket. They roll through, they get their weight, and as long as their weight good, they're on their way.
Yeah.
But why take the chance? Why take the chance?
It's not worth it.
Your safety, you put all that extra weight, specifically on a wrecker. But let's say you got a flatbed and you got that diesel loaded up with the engine towards the back of your truck. You're taking weight off of your steer axle. So bad weather in the rain or the snow around here, you're losing your steering. You're gonna lack of braking. You're gonna not be able to brake efficiently. You have to leave that extra space because you're carrying more weight than what the truck really should have on it. And then your wear and tear on your equipment. Like I said earlier,
It's
you
huge.
see these Dodges with the cracked frames.
The Fords and stuff splitting
Yup,
like that.
yup.
I know there's the old school beds that do that tilt, and I'm not
They're not
talking about
supposed to
that
do
tilt.
that.
There's the legit
Yeah.
whoop crack right down the
Yeah.
frame.
We've had issues with the actual mounts for the tilt cylinders, where they mount to the frame, the bolts shearing off. I've seen that. Bending the shit out of your L arms, especially on the auto loaders, and that's the next thing I want to talk about is these MPL 40s. I see some guys towing some crazy stuff on these MPL 40s, and I have to assume it's just lack of knowledge, but every truck has a plate on it that tells you what it's rated for.
And if you don't have that plate because it's gone, call your fucking manufacturer and have
Just
them.
go to Jerdan. You go to.
I mean, technology is so crazy nowadays. I mean, it's really not that hard to just go boop, boop, boop.
Yep. If the plate gets damaged, you can get a new one. They'll print you up a new one with your serial number, all of your information on it. They'll get you a new one, and
factory.
Yeah. Go to your factory.
Simple.
Just go online. Everything is available online. All of the pages I've shown you today are stuff that I found online just with a simple search.
We'll have links for that too,
hard.
so you guys can go see it for yourself.
Yep, it's not that hard. So the MPL 40s, they're a great rig. They really are. They're quick, but they're light duty. Those rigs have a 4,000-pound lift, extended or retracted. That's all you're supposed to put on that. So pretty much,
kind of a repo truck.
It's a repo truck.
A repo
it's
bed.
A snatcher.
Yeah.
It's
kind of a snatchy.
It's made for light vehicles. An F350 from the rear, no problem. It'll lift that. It should lift that without any issues. But then you look at the tow limit, 7,500 pounds. So an F350 from the rear, you're towing too heavy. And I see guys with box trucks on these things, and I don't understand it.
All the time.
Yeah. I mean, the trucks are built to a factor of at least 3 to 4 times the working load limit. So yeah, the 7,500 pounds, the 4,000 pounds, it's gonna hold more than that, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. In the long term, you're gonna end up wearing that truck out faster. You're gonna end up breaking something. I've seen pictures of a shot of the truck from the back and guys saying, why are my L arms at 2 different heights? Well, because somebody overloaded that truck at one point and the L arm bent. And wearing out your main pivot pin, the bushings. I see guys with sloppy crossbars, and they're wondering why. It is because that truck, lack of maintenance.
People have their whole arms snapped off.
Yeah.
I mean, completely just boop.
Lack of maintenance, lack of just simple greasing. Get a grease gun and grease.
I just did it yesterday. It's
Yeah.
not that hard. Yeah, you're gonna get a little dirty. Woohoo! Don't be a tow truck driver or an operator or a manager or whatever you want to do that's not at the desk admin portion of the towing industry. That if you don't want to get dirty, then I don't know what to tell you.
This is
Don't have a
generally
truck.
not going to be a clean job. So
Yeah, don't have a truck.
But- grease your trucks, take care of your trucks, and it'll help. But still, if you're overloading it, the materials are not made to take the weight that you're putting on them. You're going to have a failure eventually.
Learn your equipment.
Yep.
Learn your equipment. Learn what your winch holds. Learn what the capabilities are with your snatch blocks. Learn what, you know what I mean? Your limits changed of yanking and doing recovery stuff versus the hauling portion of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's your bed has so many different capabilities. Your wrecker body has so many different capabilities and so many different load limits between the different things that you can do and use them for.
Yeah.
And that's like I keep saying, learn your equipment.
Yes. It's very important. It really, when we train new guys, that's part of the training is teaching them what their truck weight limit is, what the curb weight is, basically what you should be able to expect to put on that truck safely. And I'll throw stuff at guys and just be like, hey, we're going to send you on a tow with this and see if they catch it and say, is that too heavy for my truck? Just to make sure they're paying attention. That way they don't put themselves in a situation. I know that there are going to be times where you get that police call and they say, oh, it's just a pickup truck. And you get there and it's like a F350 with
3,500 dually long bed king cab.
There you go. With a utility body on it or a 100-gallon fuel cell in the back and a toolbox and
all loaded. Yeah. Big old tires on it. Doesn't tell you got off-road wheels. That was like the one we had, it had a big old 2,500 Chevy HD long bed crew cab. And they were like, yep.
And if you've got the equipment,
off-road wheels.
If you've got the equipment, you really the right thing to do is to call your company and say, hey, they're trying to have me put this thing on my truck. It's too big. Let's get a different truck out here. And it's going to take more time, but it's the right thing to do. It really is. And we've had to do that before. We've had to do that. We'll clear the lane. We'll get the vehicle into a safe spot, maybe down the road a little bit. And that's probably the one time where throwing it on there, it's kind of you have to. you know,
getting it out of the road.
clear the
If
lane.
it's blocking, yeah, you do what you can to get
Load
it
it
out.
up, get it to a safe spot, unload it, wait for the correct equipment to get there to do the tow. A short distance, I mean, is you're still overloading your truck. You're still overloading your truck, but there's that's a time where
0.1 of a mile versus
exactly
3 miles to your yard.
exactly.
You know what I mean? That weight limit, stop and go, stop and go.
And I'm still gonna do all 6 points. I'm gonna chain that thing down.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'm only going a very short distance. Even when we're moving cars in the yard, we tell the guys 4 points. Even if it's a Toyota Corolla and you're just moving it in the yard, you better have all 4 points on that. Or
I think a big thing I need to get onto, if you're fitting it and shipping it and it goes right, if your doors are flinging open or your hood is popped open or
You
your
saw that on
trunk is
Facebook.
open, just strap it down.
Yeah.
Leave a strap in the 3-4 toolboxes you got. Leave it under your seat in the cab. Leave it hanging off. I don't give a shit what
use
you
the
do.
seatbelt. I've used the seatbelt before. Put the windows down and wrap the seatbelt around to
A
hold the door
bungee
closed.
cord.
Yeah.
A bungee cord, a bunch to itself even.
Duct tape.
I mean, anything. If you have a tow truck, you should have these things on your vehicle,
Yeah.
on your truck. I
Yeah.
mean, it's again, knowing your equipment, knowing what you're capable of, knowing
Yep.
what you should have.
I take every chance I get. You know, anytime a guy comes and picks up stuff at our yard, I walk around their truck and I take a look, see what equipment they have. I picked up something pretty neat from a company that was picking up a car one day. He had a light tucked underneath on his underlift on his it was like an F550. I don't remember what the make was, but so it shined right down the tube to the crossbar. And I think like 2 days later, I set one up on my truck, and man, it puts light right underneath the car. It's perfect for when you're trying to hook up safety chains.
Oh,
It was so nice. It was so nice. But I always walk around, I look at their toolboxes, see how they're organized, what equipment they have.
mm-hmm.
There's been plenty of times where I've seen something and been like, oh, that's cool. Like we need to add that to our
I've been there
toolbox.
too. Yep, been there a few times actually.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, we need one of these. This'll do this great.
Yep.
Let me show you a video on why. No problem.
Yeah.
Get it.
Sell it. you just got to sell it.
Let me show you why the Sandy M truck comes. Let's see. Let me tell you why we need this for the wrecker.
Yeah. I have him explain it to me. So what's this new thing?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers it. I think basically not having the right equipment, it's not an excuse.
No.
It's not an excuse.
Knowing your equipment, knowing
Yeah.
your supplies, knowing what you have, and
Sometimes you have to turn down a tow. If we don't have a driver that can drive the right truck, we have to pass it along. We're not going to send the wrong truck to get the job done.
we don't. Yeah,
But
Take
yeah,
care
I
of
think it was a good first episode.
I think so too. And next episode to look forward to, we're gonna have the follow up coming up. Probably within a week or so, right after this episode drops on New Year's.
Yep.
And then episode 2 is going to be slow down, move over.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a huge topic. I
Yeah.
want to try and push an hour for that one, just because it's a serious topic. It
Yeah.
really is. It's
Yeah.
more. It's not even kind of like a joke, like, oh, if it fits the shit, it's like,
Yeah,
no,
no,
like,
this is important. It should be important to everybody.
we're gonna go over some statistics for sure of,
Yep.
of the 24 year of tow deaths and things like that, and a lot of causes and different things that we should be looking forward to, things
Yeah.
that we should be looking into making happen, and hopefully pushing that movement
Yeah.
bigger to the communities that we provide service to. So with that being said, we thank you guys for joining us. Please
you very
like,
much.
subscribe, share. Word of mouth is huge.
Yeah.
We're
Any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments.
Yep.
Um,
we're still working on trying to get Spotify, etc. going.
Yeah.
Should be soon. We'll have more news as everything comes out.
Yep.
Kind of just platform hosting and gathering around right now as we grow. So look forward to it.
yeah, we'll have the follow-up episode soon, and hopefully we get lots of questions that we can answer, and it'll be a good one.
Or people who want to interact with us even.
Yeah.
Like, we're down for it. We're not keeping anybody out. We want the tow community to be involved as much as possible. So
Yes.
reach out. We're looking
right.
forward to it. So if it fits, it ships. And I think it's a huge controversial.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to rescreen that.
Why?
I fucked up the words.
You did? What'd you say?
Controversial.
Okay. All right, so let's start. My truck's got the 6,000-pound L arms, and I've got forks for it. So my truck is a 19,000 GVW with a 13,200 pound curb weight, I can put $6,200 on the chassis and still be safe. Now, when you're loading up on a wheel lift, you're going way behind. So any weight you put on the wheel lift is 100% going to go into that rear axle.
I'm pretty sure you just said $6,200, so you're gonna want to redo
Oh,
that.
son of a bitch.
I just heard that and I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, I'm
Did I
pretty
say
sure you just said
$6,200?
dollars.